All right. Time is 7:01 p.m. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Mayor and Town Council for Tuesday, July 8th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Susan.
Councilor Draco.
Here.
Councilor Gonzalez. Here. Councilor Yankee.
Here.
Councilor Nagel.
Here.
Councilor Page.
Here. Here.
Mayor Rada.
Here.
Councilor Tiniaco.
Here.
Mayor Tristan.
Here. All right, moving along to approval of agenda. Any changes anyone sees for the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Second. All right, motion by Councilor Mankey, second by Councilor Floyd. Any discussion on approving the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. The agenda is approved. All right. First up tonight, we have a presentation, a proclamation recognizing the 40th anniversary of the Senior and Disabled Center. And I'm gonna read this, a long one, so hope you guys have some water. Celebration the 40th anniversary of the Newington Senior and Disabled Center. Whereas the Newington Senior Center was established in 1985 in the former New Meadow Elementary School, with additional renovations completed in 1991 to provide a total of 25,000 square feet dedicated to older adult and disabled adult services, and was subsequently renamed the Newington Senior and Disabled Center, the Center. And whereas the center's mission is to improve the well-being of older adults and adults with disabilities in the town of Newington, dividing well-being into 8 dimensions: physical, social, emotional, financial, environmental, purpose, spiritual, and intellectual, which provide the framework for the center's operations. And whereas, since its establishment, the center has evolved to address the ever-changing needs of the older adult and disabled adult population in the community, adding dial-a-ride transportation services, nutrition services, including a congregate lunch, Meals on Wheels, and volunteer-run coffee shop, health services, an exercise gym and programming, technology services, a volunteer-run gift shop, and a bus trip committee, among numerous others. And whereas the Information and Referral Center INR opened in 2012, staffed with a full-time social worker and eligibility coordinator, the INR provides in-person social work services, as well as a one-stop shop for information on financial, insurance, housing, nutrition, health, legal, transportation, emergency, veterans, and caregiving needs. And whereas the volunteer-run Giving Garden was established in 2014 in the center's backyard to grow all organic produce to benefit the Newington Human Services Food Bank. And whereas the center staff took the lead in a statewide senior center initiative to provide remote programs, resources, and services to keep older and disabled adults throughout the state safe, connected, and informed during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as to provide vaccination and testing resources from late 2020 to the present. And whereas the center was the first senior center in the state of Connecticut to be accredited by the National Council on Aging Institute of Senior Centers in 2003 and was reaccredited in 2022, one of only 7 senior centers in the state to achieve this distinction. And whereas center staff is involved with and holds advocacy and leadership roles in many professional organizations that provide resources and services to older and disabled adults, including the National Council on Aging, the CT Association of Senior Center Personnel, the Age Well Collaborative, the CT Healthy Living Collective, and is a founding member of the LGBTQIA+ Movable Senior Center. And whereas the center has received numerous awards and recognition for its contributions to the well-being of the older and disabled adult community, including being featured in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Physical Activity Guidelines for the Americans Mid-Course Report in 2023, and by the U.S. Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion in 2024. And whereas, with a staff of 7 full-time and 3 part-time employees and 75 volunteers, as well as guidance from the Commission on Aging and Disability, the center currently provides more than 65 unique activities and services to its 1,800 plus members daily, monthly, or throughout the year, including social and evidence-based programs, adult learning games, health education, arts and culture, and many more. And whereas The center partners with various town departments and organizations such as Central CT State University, various veterans groups, the Central CT Health District, AARP, and numerous local businesses and organizations to provide activities and services at little to no charge to center participants. And whereas the center observes its 40th anniversary in 2025 and will kick off 6 months of festivities focused on celebrating the older and disabled adult community on July 30th. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby congratulates the Newington Senior and Disabled Center on 40 years of service to older adults and disabled adults in the community, encourages the town residents and staff to join in the upcoming celebrations, dated this 8th day of July, 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from Counselor Nagel. Any discussion on this? Counselor Bedrego.
Well, first of all, congratulations on 40 years and the incredible accomplishments. I mean, how from year 1 to year 40. I was just amazed that with 7 full-time staff, 3 part-time, and 75 volunteers, you do so much to make Newington a better place to live. And for the members, I know from speaking with people all the time, how much a sense of community you foster among the members and how important that is. And the activities and the programs that you offer to help our residents, you know, the seniors and disabled, to stay healthy, to stay independent. And also what I think is really important, at least from my perspective, is helping them combat social isolation, which can really be an issue for our older population and the individuals who have disabilities. But what also is important too, because, you know, my mom took advantage of some of your activities. You're also supporting not just the members, but their families, because it's such a sense of relief to know that your family member, your loved ones has some place to go, has a community looking out for them, has support and services and activities. And so you're not just serving the seniors and disabled, you're serving their families as well. And I really, really thank you for that. So I want to join you in celebrating your 40 years and wishing you continued success. And I think that the Newington Senior and Disabled Center is really something that all of Newington should be proud of. So congratulations and thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Counselor Bedrejko, you stole my thunder. I think all of ours. What more is there to say but to congratulate you on this immense milestone. The services that you provide to our community are immense. And as Councilor Bedrejko said, families throughout our town depend on those services for their loved ones. But I think oftentimes we only get little glimpses of them. For example, us at this council table have talked a lot about your Meals on Wheels and Congregate Meals program over the past months. But when you look at a resolution like this and you talk to those 7 remarkably dedicated staff members, the 75 incredible volunteers, you realize that the programs you folks do are day in, day out, in a whole range of areas, providing a whole range of services. You really are a model in combating loneliness in our community. It's such a shame that we have that model only for folks at the end of, towards the end of their time in our communities. But it's so important that we look to that model to understand the ways that we can be of more service to each other, the way that we can be of more service to our neighbors. So just thank you so much for the work that you do. And please let us know how we can continue to support the success of the Senior Center moving forward.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Tiniakis.
I remember the first time I went to the senior and disabled building, and it wasn't anything like what I was expecting. I feel like a lot of outside perspective on these kinds of like buildings are that it's like a slow pace. There's not a lot going on, but this is like the farthest thing from the truth. You guys have pretty much everything happening all the time. So I think it's probably one of the more busier buildings that we have in the whole town. And that just kind of is a testament to like everything that the staff does, the volunteers do, like it's pretty remarkable. So just looking at the programs that you guys offer too, it's like every walk of life. There's some physical, mental, financial, like there's everything there. So it's pretty incredible. So just thank you guys for like keeping the machine going. And I'm hoping that, you know, I'm lucky enough to get to the age where I can actually go over there and utilize some of your services. So keep it going until I can get there.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Gonzalez.
I just wanted to echo what everyone has said. You do an amazing job, Jamie, there, and you don't do it with a lot of funds either. You know, you have a ton of volunteers and you guys all make it happen. I've had the privilege of going over and helping sometimes with different things, and it's pretty amazing just to see all the happy faces, everybody talking and smiling, and it's just a really, it's a good atmosphere, you know, it's a positive atmosphere. And I hope that you guys are able to continue keeping that up, and it's really amazing. And not only do we see that, but the community sees that too. When you guys needed help with the congregate meals, and you know, people came together and they want to help. So please keep asking when you need things, you need help. We're all here to support you guys. Thank you so much.
Counselor Menke.
Please accept my congratulations with the rest of the council for 40 years of extraordinary service. The list of accomplishments here is obviously fills up the page, and we probably could have gone to the next page if we wanted to get smaller print. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds on itself, and it is a continuum of service. Please express our congratulations to the staff, the full-time staff, but also to the volunteers that make this possible. The 75 volunteers, I'm sure there were, over the years, there were more than 75 volunteers who have made this possible. And if you start adding those up, there are probably hundreds of volunteers that have made this possible over the years that their names are sometimes maybe forgotten, but not in our hearts. And I think that's important, that those people that make this possible, and this is a great senior center, and makes our town what it is, that we remember our seniors and we have this service for them. So please accept my congratulations.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we cannot thank you enough. It's through your leadership and your caring that Newington is that much of a better of place for all of us. And we, again, are so grateful for all that you do. And we want to support you in any way we can. Please continue your wonderful work, and thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nagel.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to have, for at least the last 20 some odd years, to have served and helped the senior center get recognition here on the council. I've firsthand seen within the board meetings accomplishments that have been done over the years. All the things mentioned here were not there to begin with. And every year there is something new and important for the senior committee and those who have disabilities that have been added and been beneficial to the community. Be it the Giving Garden, or adding social workers, the staff, which it's amazing how Jamie finds people that do exceptional jobs. Kudos to Diane Stone, her predecessor also, and of course the whole staff as well. And I know on a firsthand basis that our community center has been recognized by the state and federally, and that's kudos, but it's not just a certificate or whatever, but it's an acknowledgement that indeed what is there is actually happening, and the progress in terms of helping the disabled and also senior citizens community continues. And I know that you will, we will continue to appreciate and support all the activities that go on there. I could go on more and more, but I won't. I'll just say thank you once again.
Thank you, Counselor. In my time as being mayor, I've gotten the privilege of getting to spend a lot of time at the senior center, and Terry, we sit next to each other when I'm there. and I want to talk about the volunteers, because what you notice about the volunteers is that they're members. And it's really a labor of love, and it's really such a great example of the community kind of helping out the community, and seeing that in action has been a real treat. It was, you know, Councilor Tiagos, I think you said, but the senior center, you serve a constituency in this community that serves more than any other, I think, department in the town. I mean, we talk a lot about Parks and Rec, and Parks and Rec does a ton for the community, but you serve a greater constituency, a larger group of people than they do. And as Councilor Gonzalez said, you do it with no budget. And that's a testament to all of the work that you guys do. And I know how hard you work, particularly Jamie. I know all the things that you got going on and have had going on in the last year, particularly in the town. So it's just amazing what you guys have been able to accomplish. And, you know, another 40 years, let's do it, right? So congratulations to you guys. And we're just so happy that you're here and part of our community. So we had a motion and a second by Councilor Nagel. Any further discussion on this from council? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those abstentions? None. All right, motion carries. Congratulations.
Yeah, why don't we? Let's do a series of. Yeah, so. Why don't we start with Karen and Jamie, Mayor, and that will get everybody, and then we'll get everybody else. There you go. Congratulations. Good.
The others of our commission. I want to also mention, I was not official, but Terry is our social worker. She's been here for 3/4 of the senior center's history.
Wow.
She was like 6 years old, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Squeeze together.
I'll stand in the back. I'll stand in the back.
You can do. Make sure.
Smile.
Jane, if you'd like to, anybody wants to speak, please feel free. Oh, come on up, please do.
Karen Bricker, 120 Stagecoach Lane. I'm Chair of the Commission on Aging and Disability. And I thought this would be an appropriate time for you guys to learn how the senior center the building came to be. So it's probably more than 3 minutes, if that's okay.
Oh,
There's no time on this.
Okay. In 1984, the town council had to decide what would become of the recently emptied New Meadow School. There were many town departments that had their eyes on that space, including being a temporary location while the library was being renovated and expanded. However, seniors saw an opportunity to get a place of their own. At that time, seniors were provided with a single room in the town hall to gather for meetings, coffee, exercise, and educational programs.
Wow.
They were
You've
out
come a
the
long
door
way.
for their meetings. They wanted a larger space, a place they could call their own. Myra Cohen, before she was a long-serving town councilor, and I proposed to the seniors that they ask for the New Meadow School to be used as a senior center. We gathered people together and planned a strategy to wow the council. Myra, me, and several others wrote many short speeches in large fonts, of course. We then recruited 40 or 50 seniors who were willing to attend the pivotal council meeting and read those remarks during public participation. On the night of that meeting, we all gathered in the hallway right after the Pledge of Allegiance and before public participation. We walked into the council chambers in a group, all dressed up, some using walkers and canes, some in wheelchairs. Many seniors brought their relatives and friends. As you can imagine, we created quite a ruckus walking in. Which is what we intended to do, to get the attention of the mayor, the town councilors, and the town manager. The room was packed, buzzing with anticipation. As the public participation segment began,
One by one, seniors came to the podium to deliver their well-rehearsed speeches. Some trembled with fear of public speaking, but each voice, though unique, carried the same heartfelt passion. Stories of isolation transformed into companionship, tales of purpose rediscovered, and the profound need for a place to call their own. The council members listened intently, jotting down notes as the seniors made their case with eloquence and resolve. By the end of public participation, the room was electric with emotion. The seniors, having delivered their arguments, waited nervously as the council deliberated. After what felt like an eternity, the council voted unanimously to commit half of the former school, the East Wing, for a senior center, while the West Wing would become the temporary library. Cheers erupted from the crowd. People hugged each other, and more than a few tears of happiness were shed. The seniors reveled in being victorious. They were listened to, and the town council heard them. Of course, Myra Cohn famously kept up her advocacy for seniors throughout her years of public service. There were other notable champions that deserve thanks as well, including former Mayor Joe Doyle, for whom the building was renamed, and former town councilor Joe Harpy, our two Joes. From a single room, seniors now had a place where they could truly thrive, a place born of their passion and perseverance, their efforts serving as a powerful reminder of what collaboration, determination can achieve, working together to create progress rather than just complaining about change. The conversion of the New Meadow School into the senior center marked the beginning of a new era. The building was transformed into spaces for gatherings, activities, and a general sense of belonging. It became a vibrant hub, hosting everything from fitness classes to art workshops, luncheons, and events that strengthened ties within the community. Eventually, it was expanded into the rest of the building once the new Lucy Robbins Library debuted and they vacated the premises. Programming and participation expanded accordingly and quickly. The senior center has become more than just for seniors, as reflected in being renamed the Senior and Disabled Center. And more than just a building, it has evolved into the heart of the senior and disabled community in Newington. It is a sanctuary where friendships blossom, support is provided, wisdom is shared, and laughter echoes through the halls. It has garnered accolades for its innovative programming, becoming a model for centers looking to enrich the lives of their senior citizens. The center plays host to intergenerational initiatives, bringing together young and old to exchange stories, skills, and inspiration, further cementing his role as a bridge between past and future. Its legacy underscored by the unwavering spirit of the seniors who fought for its creation continues to shine as a testament to unity and perseverance. We'd like to thank the Newington Town Councils throughout the year, right through to today, for continuing investing in the Senior and Disabled Center, underwriting 40 years of progress that provides so many benefits for so many members of the Newington community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One thing I wanted to, before we move on, I wanted to acknowledge that while you're all here, I know you guys experienced a terrible loss recently, and we wanted to extend our condolences and thoughts to you guys and for what you had to go through. So we'd like to, at this point, take a little moment of silence for Karen Halpert, if that's okay. Thank you guys all for everything. Moving on. Next is public participation. In general, if anyone in the room would like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. If you are over Zoom, please use the raise hand function and we will alternate between in the room and over Zoom.
Mike Wall, 57 Kits Lane. It came to my attention through emails from the DOT that one or more members of the town council knew about the Kits Lane bus route change in 2023 and chose not to inform the residents. This may be just a street to you, but my whole life savings sits on this street. I'm sure there would have been notification if it was your street. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation?
Gary Bowles, 28 Burden Lane. As the lady had mentioned, and some of you may not be aware of it, but originally that senior center was called the Joseph P. Doyle Community Center. And this was back probably just after Mayor Doyle, I guess, resigned as the, didn't resign, but it was his mayorship was up, I guess. And that was, I know that building very well because I went to school there in 1951 in kindergarten. I still remember the principal, Mr. Pillsbury, lifting me up on the top of a table in the cafeteria, and he had me play my accordion at a Christmas concert. So that was pretty darn nice. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I know that this steep grant for the Candlewick Playground was delayed, and I'm just wondering why it was delayed, because now it sets it back a little bit, where we could have started on this and maybe moved it along a little bit faster. But, and I don't know that, so just wondering why it was delayed. And I'm also wondering if, I think I spoke with the town manager earlier, if we could use the, apply for a steep grant to get our sidewalk from Maple Hill Avenue to our Vincent Drive, because I had mentioned how our Vincent Drive neighborhood is going to be the only neighborhood off of that Cedar Street that will not have direct pedestrian access. And we really do need it. So thank you very much and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, everybody. Phil McCarthy, 206 Churchill Drive. First thing I want to do is say thank Jamie and her whole team. You guys do a wonderful job. One of the things I like about the senior center is every week on Friday, around 3 o'clock or so, I get this nice little telephone call from the senior center, giving me all kinds of helpful information about upcoming programs, little to no information. And it's always Jamie's voice. It's very, very sweet and wonderful.
Every Friday.
Every Friday, yeah. It's like, it comes up on the caller ID and it's, oh, okay. So anyway, I think I had mentioned this a couple of meetings ago, like probably 100 meetings ago, that this is an excellent communication tool that's available to the senior center and should also be available to the emergency or the town in general. There was postings on Facebook today from, I think it was from the town, about the impending storms and stuff like that, which I thought was excellent. I was sort of looking forward to the storms, but they never came.
So to cool it down.
But that's okay. But I know, I'm not sure exactly how Jamie has the system set up. I'm sure that it's by members only. But if there was some way that we could get, or, offer it to the citizens of the town, that we could have some sort of program where communication could be made more readily available by phone. I know there's the Atlas One app that the police department uses. I don't know how well that works at all. But I think that going forward, especially in lieu of the flooding that occurred down in Texas last couple of days, it's important that we are able to communicate with our constituents. And talking about constituents, I know that there's a big to-do coming up in the future here with people being nominated and everything else like that for public offices. I just want to give everybody a good attaboy and look forward to hearing all the discussions and stuff like that. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it. Anybody else in the room or over Zoom that'd like to speak in public participation? Seeing none. We didn't get any email correspondence.
No.
All right, we'll move on to remarks by councilors on public participation. Any comments from council? Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to Mr. Wa's comments, Jonathan, I know we were following up on that last meeting. Could you just give an update on where that follow-up went?
Right, so I forwarded you the communication from Ms. Cotto from the Department of Transportation maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
I know that Ms. Cotto sent a formal letter to Mr. Waugh outlining this basically verbatim of the findings that the DOT Service Committee had recommending that the route not be changed. Subsequently, there was another email asking for follow-up information that we sent to her basically the day after the last meeting. And Ms. Cotto responded to that. I think she raised an interesting point that she didn't raise in the letter, which is that absent an actual dedicated bus stop and a bus lane at that section of the Berlin Turnpike, it was actually illegal for a bus, I mean, not just dangerous, but it's illegal for a bus to stop in that location. So that was, the fact that Kitts Lane is a side street is a safe place for passengers to get on and off. But so that's another variable there. And that's kind of the latest where things stand. And I know Lauren did distribute at least to one member of council, the Ms. Cotto's last email response, and perhaps the entire council.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Councilor Page.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to respond, Mr. Bowles, thank you. I agree with you. I think sidewalks should be put along Cedar Street from Vincent, and I think many of us agree from Vincent to Maple Hill to make it safer and to provide access for pedestrians as consistent with a lot of the efforts by town leadership to make our town safer for pedestrians. And I know it's on the drawing board, and I know from a state standpoint, and I think from many of us on the council, I won't claim to speak for everybody, when the resources are available and when it makes sense, because there are logistical issues to navigate, no pun intended, between one street to the other to make that happen. And it's a little complex. I know that's a concern of ours. So I just wanted to respond to that, and hopefully that will be done sooner rather than later, but it will take a little time. And then to Mr. McCarthy, appreciate the comments about the two-way or the reverse 911. I don't know if that's exactly what we call it, but messaging, phone messaging in case of emergency. And I know we've talked with previous and the current town manager about what that might look like and how that might happen. And I don't claim any expertise in it, but I think any up-to-date forms of communication that could be feasible are always something we want to look at. And I think we should keep that conversation going and make sure we're safe and well-informed. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Draco.
Yeah, and I want to comment on Mr. Wallace's observations regarding communication to the people living on Kitts Lane. That was a question that I had asked and had forwarded and to
Ms. Cotto, yeah, Priscilla Cotto.
Priscilla
Yeah.
Cotto. And I don't think she got what I was trying to get at because I did ask were the members, were residents on that street notified, and it's a small street that's like really impacted. I don't know, maybe 11, 12 houses, I don't know. And she responded that, yeah, there was stuff on the DOT website, there was, communications, all via, social media, whatever. The thing is that if you don't use the buses, if you don't use the transportation system, you're not gonna be looking on the sites, you're not gonna be following that type of changes that could happen. And I get that it probably isn't within DOT's realm to every time they make a route change to notify everybody who's on the street. I mean, that would be crazy because some of these, they're avenues, they're boulevards, whatever. But I think just for future planning, and maybe it'll never come up again, maybe we'll never, but I do think it would have been helpful if at the time residents on that street were notified that a change was gonna happen. Because there were so few residents on that street. Because alerting ahead of time, maybe some of the questions could have been answered or could have mitigated some of the concerns and issues that happened. And so if it comes before the town again, something like this, similar to this, maybe if we can be cognizant of notifying the residents maybe in a better way than having somebody wake up in the morning and have buses going up and down their street.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Counselor. I just wanted to address, Mr. McCarthy. I like the system that the senior center uses to make a call to. I think that's great. And I would be really interested in seeing a way we could do that at the town level. That's maybe something people could opt into, because I do think, again, to what the Councilor Draco just said, not everybody is online, not everybody's doing that. And I think having that kind of, it being any sort of tentacles of communication we could put out there, we need to. So I think we should look into that, but I appreciate you bringing that up. All righty. Moving along to consideration of old business, and we have none. That's amazing. Moving on to tax refunds. And we have one resolution. Councilor Page, would you please read the resolution?
Yes, Mayor. Resolved that the property tax refunds in the amount of $1,133.01 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Page, second by Councilor Gonzalez. Any discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Continuing to move right along. No minutes from previous meetings, resignations and appointments. We have one, Councilor Mankey. Can you do that one?
Certainly. Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointments. Library Renovation Addition Public Building Committee. Peter Mankey, public member, 112 Northwood Drive, Party R, immediate to 1/1/2050. Resignation of Newell Steen.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Mankey, second by Councilor Floyd. Any discussion?
Controversial Draco, I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry,
both
Councilor
did, but
Draco.
that's fine.
Sorry.
It's hard to,
We both did,
let's-
that's okay.
I
No,
hear
you go
you.
ahead, you go ahead.
it's
No
hard
hard
to tell us
feelings.
apart, right?
I get the next one.
All right, motion by Councilor Mankey, second by Councilor Draco. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Moving along to consideration of new business. We have a few items there. Item A is placement of coverage, property casualty, liability insurance, and workers' compensation. Do you want to tee this up a little bit, Jonathan?
Actually,
Or
I mean,
Lauren?
I could, but I think Lauren can probably do it more articulately than me, so I'd
For
invite
sure,
her up to the dais.
Thank you for considering this tonight. 2 years ago, at the end of 2023, I came to you with members of the Standing Insurance Committee and also our broker to ask you to consider a 3-year budget stabilization plan through KERMA, which was set to expire at the end of this fiscal year, the 25-26 fiscal year. So KERMA came to us about 2 weeks ago and said, if you would consider making this current 3rd year a new first year in a 3-year budget stabilization plan, we will actually decrease the proposed percentage of your LAP policy for the current fiscal year. So as of July 1st, 2025, we were supposed to see a 1.5% increase to our premium, and they said we actually will give you a flat 0% increase to your premium for the current fiscal year if you give us 2 more years of business, basically. So this makes sense for a number of reasons. A, because it helps us control the budget, and B, because if you'll remember in 2022 to 2023, we actually had the broker go market our book of business, and only Kerma and Travelers responded, and Kerma was by far the more competitive and more comprehensive carrier. So this keeps us with the more comprehensive carrier for an additional 2 years. And it also is in line with marketing our book of business. So you should market your book of business about every 5 years. When this budget stabilization plan in front of you expires, that will be our 5th year with Kerma in this new rate plan. And that would be the perfect time for us to go back out and see if there are any other competitors in the market. So this is just a way that we can control the budget and also continue our policies with Kerma.
Can you speak to the need for the waiver tonight?
Yeah, so the need for the waiver is because, like I said, Kerma actually is giving us 2 additional years by creating this year as the new first year in the budget stabilization plan and giving us that 0% increase. And they've asked us to get back to them with the signed budget stabilization form as close to 7/1 as possible, because they have renewed us at the 0% increase, assuming that we're going to sign this. So we do really need a waiver tonight so that we can just get this buttoned up for them so that they can complete all of their year-end turnover from last year.
And putting, just to add one little detail, putting numbers into this. So we budgeted for a 1.5% increase.
Yeah.
So it's, by doing this, we're saving about 15,000, is that right?
About 15,000, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Counselor Tiniakis, would you read the resolution?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council, in accordance with section 14 of the Town Council Rules and Procedures adopted April 9th, 2024, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 11.a to approve the placement of coverage, property casualty, liability insurance, and workers' compensation.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Tiniakis, seconded by Counselor Gonzalez. Because we are waiving the rules at this time, I'm going to open the floor for public participation. If anyone would like to speak on that. If you'd like to speak in public participation related to the waiver, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, or use the raise hand function in Zoom. Seeing none. All right. Public participation is closed. We had a motion by Counselor Tiniakis. It was seconded by Counselor Gonzalez. Any discussion from council on this part? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously. Can you read the next part, please, Counselor Tiniakis?
Of course. Resolved that in accordance with section 8-27(4)(c) of the Code of Ordinances, the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the recommendation of the Standing Insurance Committee and directs USI Insurance Services of Meriden as the town's agent of records to place workers' compensation, general liability, automotive liability, professional liability, and umbrella coverages with the Connecticut Interlock Risk Management Agency, KERMA, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2028, and hereby authorizes Lauren Ryan's Assistant Town Manager to sign the associated 3-year rate lock agreement. A copy of the executive letter of commitment shall be attached to this resolution.
Second.
Just one point. It says effective July 1st, 2026. It should be 2025. Okay. So we're just gonna, as the motion, are you okay with that amendment?
I am okay with that.
The motion by Counselor Tiniakis,
Second.
second by Counselor Menke. Any discussion on this? Counselor Bedrejko.
No, I support this resolution. I'm just curious. Yeah, I know there's probably not a lot of carriers in the municipal market, but the cynical side of me is, what's in this for Kerma?
Essentially, they are asking us to guarantee 2 more years of us placing coverage with them, so they can give us the 0% interest for this year, because essentially this budget stabilization plan says it will stay with them for 2 more years after this. So they get consistency of our business and we get consistency of a rate cap.
Okay. No, it just seems like they, everybody, all the insurance carriers, no matter whether it's auto, home, fire, whatever, are all raising right now. This is wonderful, and I thank you for pursuing this. I was just curious as why you felt this was offered. Thank you.
Counselor Menke.
I think it would be remiss if we didn't also thank the members of this committee. I think AJ and I sat in on a meeting yesterday where we had to quickly get a quorum to get this together, because
We heard it.
to try to get this number of people together at the last minute, to have a quick meeting to do this is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I would thank the members of the committee who came together on a warm summer night to sit through this meeting to get this together. I think I appreciate the fact that we kind of called them from hinterlands to come together. Insurance is not one of the more exciting committees that happens to be in a town, but I appreciate people who serve on these committees, because they did come together and we were able to get this done, even though it seemed like it was a little questionable there for a while. We did get people together.
And we're definitely grateful for all your efforts, and absolutely agree. Having served on the Standing Insurance Committee and had to be part of getting a quorum, I absolutely understand. So
It's not
completely know.
the most glamorous
popular.
committee.
No, it's tough, but it's very, very important, and we appreciate all the hard work that went into that. So we had a motion by Counselor Tiniakis. It was seconded by Counselor Menke. Any further discussion from council on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Moving right along, next item we have is the 2025 Steep Ramp Award Candlewick Park Inclusion Project. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, sure. And actually, this is a good opportune time to address Gary's question too. I don't know why exactly there were delays with DECD, the state agency that administers the steep grant. We were hoping to get decisions prior to the budget being adopted. Unfortunately, it came about 2 months later. I don't know exactly what the holdup was on the state's end, but it happened. The good news is that Bill DeMayo has teed up this contract on the state contract. So the vendor's already in place. And he wants to get going this construction cycle. And so in order before we can enter into any formal agreements with the contractor, we need to enter into basically council needs to approve this resolution. Agreeing to abide by DECD's, the standard grant terms, and then appointing me as to authorize any or to execute any agreements. And a waiver is requested for this again, so that the work can be done this construction season.
Thank you very much. Councilor Floyd, would you mind reading those resolutions? Sure.
Resolve that the Newington Town Council, in accordance with section 14 of the Town Council Rules of Procedure adopted April 9th, 2024, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 11B to approve the acceptance of a 2025 steep grant for the Candlewick Playground Inclusion Project.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Floyd, seconded by Councilor Tiniakis. Again, because we are waiving the rules, I will open up the floor for public participation. Anyone in the room would like to speak on the waiver, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. If you're on Zoom, use the raise hand function, and we will alternate between in the room and over Zoom. All right, seeing none, we'll close public participation. We had a motion by Councilor Floyd. It was seconded by Councilor Tiniakis. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Can you read the next part, Counselor?
Sure.
Thank you.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby approves the foregoing resolution for the 2025 steep grant application Candlewick Playground Inclusion Project, and resolves that it is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites for the state financial assistance imposed by section 32-222 of the Connecticut General Statutes in an amount not to exceed $485,610.60 is hereby approved, and that the town manager, Jonathan Altschul, is directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of the town of Newington.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Ford, seconded by Counselor Menke. Any discussion from council on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries unanimously. Moving along to item C, consideration of canceling upcoming Newington Town Council meeting. Seems pretty straightforward in the memo. Council is going to consider canceling the first meeting in August. Our meeting scheduled for August is August 12th and August 26th. So we will be considering over the next 2 weeks to cancel August the 12th meeting. Any questions or comments from council on this? Counselor Menke.
I just would point out again, it's something, where Chevy comes up, we can always call a special meeting like we always can. And this is something we've historically have done. Regularly,
Makes sense,
and we could use a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, the board of Ed gets the whole
Everybody else
summer.
gets a vacation.
Fair.
I mean, we do it period, we do it every year. I think we usually have a break someplace. So, and we can always call a special meeting if just.
Absolutely.
So just so I'm clear, so everybody's okay with canceling the 12th as opposed to the 26th?
I think so.
Okay.
I think in the
Was that a
past, we've
question?
predominantly done the 12th because by the 26th, people are usually getting geared up to go back to school.
Okay.
I don't even say that bad word, even
Yeah,
though I
yeah.
have no kids in school.
Okay.
But that means like the summer's over by the end of August.
Yeah.
It's like a third of the summer's gone already.
That's
We just got in the summer and already,
Right, I think the 12th is what we look at for sure. Thank you. All right, we'll bring that up at the next meeting. Concludes new business. Moving along to item 12, written oral communications from town manager. So you have an
Yep,
update for us?
thank you. I have a number of things to update you on. Before I do that, though, I'd like to invite Lauren back, put you on the hot seat, because we did, the bids did close on the EOC. If you want to give just a high level summary of the bids.
Yeah, we were finally able to set the bid closing date for the EOC project. It was today at 1 p.m. We received 4 very competitive, very thoughtful bids. We were hoping to get maybe 1 or 2 more. We did have 7 total contractors that came to the pre-bid walkthrough, and 4 of them did respond. We had all 4 were under our budget. 2 were very low compared to the other 2. So we are going to do a scope review next week with staff and also with the architect so that we can vet the 2 lowest bidders and bring 1 back for moving forward.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good news.
So moving on to the rest of my report, I think the first thing I want to highlight is a memo in the back of your packet from Paul Dixon reporting that the TPZ provided a favorable recommendation or referral, 824 referral for the Garfield Street pedestrian infrastructure project that we've been talking about for the last couple of meetings. Because at this point, because it was a positive referral, all you have to do is just show up on the minutes. There's no resolution that needs to be passed on your end. I did want to point out, and I maybe should have done this before when Jamie was still here, but as you may remember, Mike Fox came to a meeting maybe 2 or 3 months ago asking the town to have a municipal veterans representative. And so Jamie volunteered to do that. And she was just certified. She went through whatever training you need to do with the state Veterans Affairs department. And she's now certified, and she's going to do an email blast, Facebook post that we now have this resource. So if a veteran doesn't really know what to do for whether it's an injury or a mental health issue, they can go to Jamie, and Jamie can sort of point that person in the right direction. So that's a really good resource for the town. And obviously kudos to Jamie for just selflessly stepping up and doing that. Right, we've been having a lot of traffic over the last week with all the tax payments. So the building is seeing a lot more foot traffic than normal. Obviously, as I think everybody knows, July 16th through July 19th, 16th to 19th, extravaganza, no pun, my first one. As you may remember, I think it was my final interview was the first night of extravaganza last year, and I couldn't figure out why there was all this commotion. I was like, what have I got myself
We'll do
into?
the annual town manager in the dunk tank.
We didn't tell you that.
You sprinkled fireworks this year.
Yeah.
There has been some, camp is underway, according to Bill, everything's going smoothly. Obviously, there was that heat issue from a couple weeks ago. We got through that, thank goodness. But there was been some concern expressed about too much traffic and potentially dangerous traffic conditions at camp drop-off in the morning. So starting the week after next, Bill's going to be or Parks and Rec is going to be implementing a new drop-off policy where the campers will get dropped off at Mazzacoli Way, like, on the east entrance, essentially, rather than the west entrance. Hopefully, slightly safer place for the kids to get dropped off in the morning. So we've just started to get the word out about that. Hopefully, that addresses those substantial safety concerns. Heads up, we on the TPZ agenda for tomorrow, there is an item of acceptance of a 830G application for that Kitts Lane housing development that's been talked about in the Wetlands Commission for the last 12 or so months. Paul is working very diligently to try to make sense of this, make sure we're meeting all of the requirements. It's kind of a little bit of a virgin territory for him. He's never done an 830G before, but we're working closely with our attorney to make sure that we're checking all the boxes appropriately. Obviously, it will be interesting to see how this unfolds. Obviously, the 830G process takes away a lot of that, zoning authority that we would normally have. And I think as we go through the process, I think you'll start to hear some concerns, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis on this one. I'll defer to the TPZ on that one, but just want to give you guys an FYI. Last but not least, and I just talked to Susan about this. I talked to James about it too. This is the second meeting we've had without any meeting minutes on the agenda. And I'd like to, and James and I have agreed to kind of shake things up a little bit. And rather than, I'd like to get into the policy of council approving minutes more quickly than we currently are. So there's just a little more transparency about what was discussed at the previous meeting. So what Susan's going to start doing moving forward is sending the minutes, her minutes, when she completes them, to me and Heather, so that we can have them in your packet for the next meeting. And then James, we'll give them to James, and then James can wait for all those attachments, the contracts that have to be signed, all those little administrative bells and whistles that sometimes take 4 or 5 weeks to all fall into place. That way we're just expediting the process. So I think that's going to be a nice, small but meaningful improvement in the process. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Jonathan. Thank you. Thanks. Glad you're back.
Yeah, how was your vacation?
It was a fantastic vacation. Alaska is a highly recommended destination, bucket list place. Cannot recommend it highly enough.
So we're all off that week. We're all going
We're
to
gonna go to Alaska. Yeah, let's do
It's in the budget, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Can we get a junket? Isn't it in the budget?
Yeah, it's in there.
We got that extra 15 grand.
Yeah, right. That's a, that'll cover it. Thank you. Very good.
Road trip.
In a van. All righty, moving along to council liaison committee reports. Any updates from councilors? Councilor Tiniakis.
Yeah, I'll just say that the Newington EMS department is definitely looking for volunteers. So if anyone watching or anyone here knows someone who might want to jump into that arena, I definitely recommend that you reach out and, you know, dedicate some time to do some good stuff with them.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other updates from council? All right, seeing none. We will move on to public participation again. If you're in the room and like to speak in public participation, step up to the microphone. If you're over Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will alternate between in the room and over Zoom. And we do have one on Zoom. Number ending in 802. You are free to go.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I remembered this time to call in on my flip phone and not on my landline like earlier. I just wanted to, like everyone else, congratulate the Senior and Disabled Center for their 40th year. It was interesting to hear Karen Brucker's history and brought back into my mind how the Senior Center came to be. And I too attended that school. So every school that I've attended in Newington is now something else other than it was, including the old town hall. It's gone. In any case, the Senior Center did have a program last week that our dispatcher, Russell Garuti, gave a presentation about an emergency profile program that it was described as a free and secure way to share critical health and medical information with 911 and first responders in the event of an emergency. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that meeting. I was in West Haven with my daughter, but I did call the Senior Center today, and as always, the staff there was willing and able to share with me the contact information with the dispatcher, Russell Garuti at the Newington PD, and he kindly volunteered to help me register for it because the first hiccup I ran into was giving them my mobile number, which, as you all know, I have a flip phone, so that could be a little bit tricky in registering. But I asked if there was going to be any presentations anywhere else or any kind of information out to the public. And I mentioned the town council, and he said there was no plans to do that, but if the council wanted him to come and speak about it, he would. So I just thought I would mention that because there must be others, such as myself, that didn't get to attend the meeting. Okay, and another note, I know that the town manager mentioned the traffic situation with the campers, and I am going to address this with Bill DeMayo tomorrow, but I was there last Thursday, the 2nd, I think, the 1st, to pay my taxes. And as I was coming to pay my taxes, the children were crossing to go over to the pool. And once again, there was a staff member. Granted, he had a bright colored shirt on, but he was directing traffic with his hands. And I was coming from the center of town, so I was able to see him. But when I left, I went down to the bus station, came back up to just see what the sight line was. And it's not very good, especially, I believe, I could be mistaken, I was going to check it out before I touched base with Bill, but there is a tree limb covering the sign that says pedestrian crossing ahead. So when you're out there cutting down the trees, and or when the town tree warden is out there, maybe they want to take that into consideration. That's about it for tonight, and I will contact Bill tomorrow. Thank you all. Oh, one other thing quickly. I have a quick question for the town manager. I had mentioned once making it one way through the town parking lot. And now that the people are dropping off their taxes at that box, can you maybe revisit that and see what the town engineer thinks about making it one way so people aren't running into each other? You have to be coming one way to get to the box, and then there's other people coming the other way at you. That's it. Good night.
What if we lost her?
Hello, Ms. Lyons, you there? Jonathan heard the question. He's going to address it.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
just answer
go
now.
ahead.
I know I wasn't
Okay.
at the meeting with, with Bill, I think Chief Perry, Lieutenant Dean, I think Lauren may have been there. I wasn't at that meeting. I understand that idea that Rose talked about of painting arrows so that when you come into the west parking lot, you would, the arrows would go in a counterclockwise direction. I think that was dismissed, not dismissed is too strong a word. I think what concerns were raised that may create other problems of bottlenecks and things like that. So I know it was discussed, Rose. I think it was agreed that this option was best. I don't have I'll tell you what I'll do, Rose. Let me get a better answer from Lieutenant Dean to that. Why that group sort of felt that wasn't the way to go. Your idea of painting the arrows, and I'll send you an email in the next couple of days.
All right. Anybody else in
Thank
the
you.
room? Or
Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. Thanks, Rose. Anyone else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation? Seeing none, we will move on to remarks by counselors. Any comments from counselors? Counselor Page?
Yeah, just a quick comment, not necessarily about what anyone has said in public participation, Rose or anyone. But just, it reminds me of safety concerns. Maybe y'all have seen them as well. There seems like there's an increase in electric bicycles going through town. And I've seen some news stories about this in Connecticut and around the country. There's a spike apparently in injuries, mostly by kids, but maybe adults too have them. They look like fun. I'd like one. And I'm not proposing we do something about it right now, other than maybe heighten our awareness. And I know our police officers observe all kinds of unsafe behavior on the road and on our sidewalks and wherever else. And so collectively, if we could just sort of keep our eye on this and gather data and then look at whatever best practices are being developed around the state, and without overreaching or overreacting, maybe thoughtfully consider what are the implications for our kids' safety, and does that take the shape of some education on our part as well as the community on working with parents supportively to make sure kids are safe with gear and this and that, because these things go 30 miles an hour or faster. And I'm just worried. I see some kids zip by. The other day I was at the coffee shop and just getting a coffee, and man, this kid looked like they were having a blast. They had a helmet on, a full jaw helmet, but holy moly, they're zipping all over the place and somebody's going to get hit or hurt. And I don't want that to happen. None of us do, obviously. So that's just my editorial for tonight. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. I think I know that kid.
Would you speak to your
He
son?
doesn't have any bike. But some of his friends. Counselor Tiniakis?
I want to take the opportunity to let everyone know I won't be here next meeting on the 22nd. Got an opportunity, something that I really wanted to. So it's a little bit selfish, but yeah.
You're planning our Alaska trip. You're going in advance.
Yeah,
Here's the advance part. Check it out. Scout it out.
You're setting up the tents.
Get the snacks.
Yeah. He's gonna carry the gear.
All we gotta do is show up.
Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just gonna say, to Counselor Page's point, a bit as well, but obviously we heard a lot tonight and we hear at a lot of these meetings, folks come with a lot of pedestrian safety concerns on various streets in town. And it's great that we very proactively tend to go after funds to address some of those needs and address some of those concerns. I just wonder if maybe there's some work that we can do with staff to maybe more comprehensively identify those problem areas with some community input and some survey work and other things like that. Because we hear them all the time and I almost feel like they get lost when we just hear little pieces. Maybe we can compile.
Yeah, I mean,
them.
and ultimately Lieutenant Dean as our, I believe the title is traffic
Enforcement or
local
something.
traffic safety advisor or whatever it is. He's really the be all end all resource for this stuff and really has a keen eye for identifying where problems are and how they can be addressed, if at all. And with traffic safety issues, as we all know, so much of it is whack-a-mole. If you add a stop sign here or a speed bump there, it just creates another bottleneck or another safety problem somewhere else. But certainly I think that's a really good idea as in the next few months, having him in to talk about some of those problem areas and how he goes about assessing them and addressing them. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. Any other comments or remarks? Seeing none. Informational items. I think I already mentioned, the extravaganza next week. Sure you're at it. Here they're dunking the town manager.
He's out of town.
Yeah, he's out.
Any other informational items that council knows? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Menke, second by Counselor Gonzalez. Any discussion on adjournment?
I think we should start.
Don't start, Tim. Don't start.
Plan the Alaska trip in public.
Get
That's
out of
fine.
Right
now,
Yeah,
right now.
transparent. Very good, very good. All righty, with that said, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? All right. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned 8:10 PM. Great meeting tonight, everybody. Thank you, Susan and Scott, for hanging with us.
Thank you.